I sat with my dad right before second year was over, and he asked me कि आगे क्या करना है, and I gave him this like big dreams, big goals, Harvard जाना है, ये करना है, वो करना है. That's when he was like, तूने अभी तक क्या करा है? Is my question. I told him I'm like undergrad, Delhi University, couple internships here and there, and my dad was like, I would never hire you. So how are you expecting कि तुझे 12 LPA job, the one that you want, a starter job 12 LPA, I'm not gonna hire you at 30,000 per month. That was the first statement that
hit
scared me.
you.
Yes.
Okay.
2 days after that, I got the top 10% course actually.
Acha.
हाँ.
Okay. Very interesting.
I went through 20 different coachings. I took everyone's demo, took all the free material available, and it was only when I had my session with Sandeep sir. Right. I liked the way he taught. I liked the material that he offered. That's when I decided to go for top 10. My headspace was like, see, if I want to go abroad, if I want to go for my MI, and there's 3 colleges I was targeting: NCR, LBS, HEC. Right. For these 3, my profile was not enough. And what would it take for me to get there? A good GMAT score. Right.
Do you think getting a 99 percentile or not getting a 99 percentile could make or break your application?
Completely.
Yeah.
My application would be broken without my GMAT score.
Hey Panshul, hi.
Hi, Prithvi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining. Before we begin, I'll quickly set the agenda. First of all, congratulations on your 99 percentile. And now you have been admitted from LBS for MIM, right? Okay. How does it feel?
Insane, unreal. It hasn't hit me yet. I feel like it won't until I'm there. But
when are you going?
21st of August.
Acha,
Yes.
in like 20 days.
20
almost.
days, so very soon.
Got it. So the agenda is that basically you've gotten a 99 percentile, which a lot of students in our system strive for, right? They're in the prep, या अभी शुरू नहीं किया है, whatever. A lot of students are in college, or right after college they've started prep, or there are working professionals with 2 years to 5 years, 7 years of work ex who are doing their preparation or want to start their preparation. You gave your GMAT while being in college.
Right.
Your final year was about to start.
Correct.
Okay? You were managing your studies and then you're preparing for the GMAT. How did it happen? How did you manage this from a college student's perspective?
I timed this. So right when I was about to end my second year, I knew I have 2 months of summer break. I had done enough internships and gotten enough extracurriculars in the past that I knew I can give this time solely to my GMAT prep. I was keeping this as my strong area because of a low GPA. So I thought the 2 months when I'm free, when I have nothing to do, I kept no plans. Just practice for GMAT. So I did my basics before my summer break started, and I plan on doing practice and mocks in those 2 months. It went a little extra, but that's how.
You joined the course in April, right?
Correct.
And then you were done by the course, I think, by July.
Right.
Right? August में आपका score आ गया था.
Correct.
Okay. Did you take the GMAT before? Was it the first time
This
you
was
took the
my-
GMAT?
this is
So
the
you
first
scored a
time.
99% on the first time.
Correct.
Help me with your college. Which college was it?
I was in Aryabhat College, South
Okay.
Campus, Delhi University.
Okay. Your GPA?
7.2.
Okay. Did you think with this sort of profile, because you didn't have work experience, an LBS was possible?
No, I could not attempt it.
Do you think you should give credit to GMAT? Did GMAT have a role to play?
Yes, it was the biggest part, academic strengthener in my profile.
Okay, we quite often say कि अगर आपकी profile में you're lacking something, it could be GPA, it could be no brand, working whatever the company brand, or college अच्छा नहीं है, tier 3 college है, tier 2 college है, GMAT can sort of compensate for that.
Right.
Okay, what was your intention? Why take the GMAT in the first place? What did you want to do exactly?
I was very sure about a master's. I was very sure about a master's in management. So it was either a PGDM in India or an MIM abroad. An MBA was a distant dream because I did not want to work before I'm done with masters. And I weighed my options, decided to go abroad, and GMAT was the first place, first thing to do.
Okay. A lot of students right now, or people who are joining us or thinking about starting their prep and stuff, are confused कि यार MBA या masters करना है भी कि नहीं करना है.
Right.
पहली बात तो. और ये डिसीजन बनाने के लिए वो 6-6 महीने 1-1 साल रुके हुए हैं. You know, they want to do an MBA this year, but trust me, 80%, probably even 90%, won't even start and won't apply. So they'll push it probably to the next year. Why were you so clear कि masters तो करना ही है मेरे को?
It starts with what job you want. Right? पहले decide करना है life में क्या करना है, right? So you spend some time exploring, understanding, and then see what are the steps to get into the job.
क्या करना था आपको?
Consulting, strategy
Consulting.
consulting. Yes.
Any specific company that you were targeting?
MBBs.
MBBs.
Yes.
Only. So you were clear कि यहाँ जाना है तो masters तो करना ही पड़ेगा.
पहले 5 साल of career has to be a big 3, has to be consulting. And I knew the college I'm in right now will not give me this entry. Right? So it was either had I gotten into a great college, there are a few limited undergrad college that hire MBB. That I hired from MBB, sorry. So I knew I'll have to go for my master's if I want this career. So it starts with deciding what your end goal is, and then you take a step back, what college you need, what degree you need, and then I'll step back, what you need to get that college degree. That's where GMAT comes in.
Okay. So as per you, you had an average college, average GPA. You had to take the GMAT so that you can land a good school for your MIM,
Right.
and then probably you can land in a McKinsey or McKinsey, PCG or Bain and stuff.
Correct.
Okay. How did you decide? Um, how did you decide that top 1% is the institute that you have to go for your GMAT prep?
I went through 20 different coachings. I took everyone's demo, took all the free material available, and it was when I had my session with Sandeep sir, right? I liked the way he taught. I liked the material that he offered. That's when I decided to go for top 1%.
Let's go in a little more detail. 20 institutes you tried. Demo लिया, live classes लिया, in person भी लिया कुछ? दो in person भी लिए.
Right.
Okay. Why did you not like them? How did you sort of make this call? What were you comparing?
At first, I was comparing everything, reviews, testimonials, etc., etc. It's just the decision got so tough because so many decision factors. So I think around 5th, 6th, I realized that I can't, take so many factors into consideration, and I simplified this. मेरे को GMAT के लिए पढ़ना है, एक टीचर पढ़ाएगा, मटेरियल देगा और मैं पढ़ने बैठूंगा. Do I like the teacher? Do I like the way they teach? And do I like the material that is being offered to me? Do I trust the person whose hands I'm in? ये जब 4 criterias checkbox cleared है, then I was happy to go for it. So that's how there was no other coaching that cleared all these checkboxes.
Understood. Any specific thing about top 1% that clicked with you? Okay, you mentioned 4 of them, but something in specific कि यार ये इसकी वजह से I joined, because obviously you didn't see all of them while you were
Right.
taking the demo or just speaking to
Correct.
your facilitator at top 1%.
Correct.
So exactly what was that?
It was one teacher for everything. So there's just one teacher who knows everything and will take care of me from start to end. हर जगह मुझे दिक्कत ये थी that there's a different teacher for everything. So एक चीज Pons कोई अच्छी पढ़ाएगा, verbal कोई अच्छी नहीं पढ़ाएगा, right? Here Sandeep sir, the way he taught, the things he said really clicked with me. So I don't not only like what he's saying, but truly understand it. So that was my final decision factor.
Understood.
One, and second, the course, the way that it's been structured at top 1%. If you want, I can go deeper.
We'll get to that. We have 2 courses, right? We have self-paced.
Right.
We have live online.
Correct.
Right? In self-paced also we have now 2 variants, expert
Oh.
access and essentials,
Okay.
2 different variants. We have seen that self-paced is highly in demand at top 1% because we have a lot more success stories from the self-paced course because it's for people who are actually disciplined from the start.
Right.
Okay? They know what to do. They just need the material, they want a plan and they'll follow it to the T. Then there is a live online, which is for people who think कि यार खुद से शायद मैं नहीं पढ़ पाऊंगा या मेरे को कोई classes चाहिए. I need a teacher, a live session probably, so that I can stay disciplined. What was the case with you? Which course did you take?
I took the live class. Again, for the reason that I need some sort of discipline, some driving factor to study, get the questions done. Because again, I was doing nothing but GMAT for my entire time, right? So it's easy to let go of the exam and get distracted for a bit. But if I have a deadline, a weekly deadline for everything, it's easier to stay disciplined.
Did you study every day?
Yes.
How many hours?
It started off with 2 hours per day. And went
But
to
every
8
day?
hours. Every day 2 hours. But end last couple of weeks, it went up to 6 hours, 8 hours a day.
Okay. We tell students that even a single day break could mess up your progress.
That's true.
Big time.
Yes.
Do you relate to this statement? I
I
mean, you didn't miss a day, but do you think this is true?
I think actually I did miss a few days towards the end of my prep. I realized I don't have a passport. So going to the passport office, running back and forth was a struggle for me. And at the same time, I felt sick. So at this point of time, I realized I cannot study every day, at least not as rigorously as I do. So on those days, I spent 15, 30, 45 minutes studying. And that was it.
But you did study.
Yes.
Even if for a short.
Had I not done that even for a single day, I would have messed up my prep big time. So on days you can't study, you study for half an hour was my rule.
Okay. You had your summer break, right? कितने time का था summer break?
2 months.
2 months. You said you were studying. लोग घूमने जाते हैं, internships करते हैं, etc. Why? How were you so focused? Yeah, just study and probably just take the test.
Spent the first 2 years of my college घूमना फिरना internships करते हुए. So I knew 3 ही महीने हैं.
हाँ, reality hit you कि बस अब तो आप graduating literally.
Yes, 1 year away from graduation, and there's a funny story here. I sat with my dad right before second year was over, and he asked me कि आगे क्या करना है, and I gave him this like big dreams, big goals, Harvard जाना है, ये करना है, वो करना है. That's when he was like, तूने अभी तक क्या करा है? Is my question. I told him I'm like undergrad, Delhi University, couple internships here and there, and my dad was like, I would never hire you. So how are you expecting कि तुझे 12 LPA job, the one that you want, a starter job 12 LPA, I'm not gonna hire you at 30,000 per month. That was the first statement that
hit you.
Yes.
Hard. Okay.
2 days after that, I got the top 1% course actually.
Acha.
हाँ.
Okay. Very interesting. I have a follow-up question to this. Your dad asked you कि क्या करना है, एम्बिशन क्या है. You said Harvard ये वो बड़ा बड़ा आपने जो भी बोला होगा.
Correct.
But at that time you were also aware कि GPA ऐसी है और मेरा कॉलेज ऐसा है.
Right.
How were you so ambitious कि मतलब एक होता है ना रियलिटी होती है कि यार नहीं होगा हार्वर्ड तो मैं क्या ही मतलब इसके साथ थोड़ी जा पाऊंगा. What was it? How were you so ambitious or how were you so clear about this delusion कि इस प्रोफाइल के साथ तो मैं कर ही लूंगा?
It goes a
क्या
little
था?
deeper actually for
What was
that.
that?
This is just the kind of person I am. For a very strong reason is that I was obese my whole life until lockdown hit and I lost a lot of weight very suddenly. So you know it was one day lockdown शुरू हो रहा है, किसी ने मुझे देखा नहीं, 8 months later completely transformed person, right? That's when it hit me that anything is possible. Someone who's been trying to lose weight for 4 years, 5 years of their life can do it actually in 8 months if done right. So that's when it hit me because for the longest time I thought it's impossible for me to get fit now. 8 months and everything, 8 months of consistency changed it all. So that's a lesson I learned earlier in life that कुछ चाहिए तो मिल जाता है if you go for it and do it right.
Very interesting. We have had very, very average profiles. Kritika recently graduated from Wharton, entered BCG, did a BBA from Symbiosis. मेरे ख्याल से 2-2.5 साल का एक्सपीरियंस होगा, ऐसा सही, no consulting from nothing. Got a scholarship from Wharton and then has graduated right now. Very average profile, right? So we have very similar profiles who have come to us thinking कि past ऐसा है फलाना ढिमकाना. But then eventually the turning point comes when they are able to understand that this has nothing to do with where I have to go. Probably to some extent, but then it's possible to sort of change my trajectory from now through probably this test, which takes 90 days at max. Okay, very interesting. Now let's talk a little bit about your preparation. You started with top 1%.
Correct.
How was the first 2 weeks? How were they? First 3 weeks probably.
First 3 weeks I was in college and college exams were near. So must have been the most stressful week for me. I would go to college and my schedule at college was also very haywire. So class in the morning, 3 hours of break, no class in between, and then 2 more classes. With low attendance, I can't afford to skip any. So I used to spend all my time in my library. I'd take my laptop to college, I'd sit there, study, and then attend all my classes. So first couple of weeks, I was just doing the basics. I think my facilitator had shared the quants basic with me, and later I had access to verbal. So first couple of weeks, just doing the basics, making very detailed notes for the same.
Yeah, you were part of the live, right? And in the live program, we have a very specific schedule that you have to probably read this bit from this chapter and this page and then do these many questions and then this pre-work and then you show up to the session and then after the session you get some post-work.
Right.
Did you do all of that?
All of it.
To the T?
To the T.
Okay. Is it fair to say that if you follow the plan that we give you to the T, a 99th percentile score is very much possible?
Very much. The thing is, if you follow it to the T, right, you're done with the course, it is possible that you land at a 635 score in your mock, right? But you're at a point of time where you're so aware of your prep that you know what to do to make that jump. So the material is enough, but don't expect yourself that once you're done with the material, you'll directly get the score. Cannot expect that. But you'll have enough self-awareness to know that you can get the score. Now you know exactly what to do to get the score.
Understood. People have this habit of mindlessly solving questions. They think कि जितने ज़्यादा मैं questions करूँगा, उतना वो concept clear हो जाएगा. Whereas in reality, doing even 50 questions, making sure that the accuracy is 100%. I may take the entire day to solve those 50 questions, but I give it everything to make sure that 50 questions, all the 50 are correct.
Right.
I think, is that an approach that you also took? Or did you have a different approach?
That is the exact approach I took. I very early learned that I'm not going to get better with the more questions I do, but I get better with the more mistakes I make and the more time I spend understanding, analyzing my mistakes. That's also why my error log was built the way it was.
Yeah.
So, for example, initially, you know, you do CR questions, takes you 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes to do a question.
Yeah.
But if you do it right, and if you put your head to it, in the beginning, I spent 30 minutes per CR question. I've spent an hour doing a single RC. But it is because you're trying to understand your behavior as to how you're trying to solve it and fix that behavior, not just solve an RC and move on to the next one. Because in that case, you'll just rush through the material and not get any better.
Okay. Coming to your error log. Okay, we've seen many error logs because this is a standard practice that we tell our students. One of the most important aspects of your preparation is maintaining an error log.
Correct.
Every student maintains it in their own way. ठीक है, कोई लैपटॉप पे बनाता है, कोई नोट्स बनाता है शीट में, कोई सिर्फ क्वेश्चंस लिखता है जो गलत हो गए और फिर उसको रिव्यू करता है बाद में जाके, कोई कॉन्सेप्ट्स लिखता है. What made you maintain an error log like this? What made you sort of think यार इस तरीके से मैं अपना error log बनाऊंगा?
It was an understanding that growth will not come through the more questions I do, but growth is going to come through the more mistakes I analyze. So the only way I can analyze those mistakes is filling those error logs, right? So the thing is, initially when you do the error logs, it feels like a waste of time. एक point of time के बाद ना, you'll see growth after every single thing you fill in that sheet, right? You'll see that you're avoiding those behaviors later, and you're getting better with every mock, for example. That's when it becomes a lot more motivating to make the error log. It's just you have to sit through the slow process of, filling it in the first place.
Okay. How many mocks did you give roughly?
Around 12.
12 mocks.
12 mocks.
TOP के आपने दिए?
सारे 8.
सारे दिए. Can you compare TOP के mocks और जो बाकी few here and there? How do you compare those?
TOP mocks are very tough. My highest score was 635. On an average, I was scoring 615 on the TOP mocks. My final score was 715. So 100 mark jump from top to the actual exam.
Okay.
If you look at the official mocks, my final score was a 775 3 days before the exam. 60 marks down from the actual exam.
Okay. We tell our students कि आप, if you practice on TOP mocks, the actual test feels very easy.
It does.
And nothing is unusual.
Right.
आपको ऐसा नहीं लगेगा that you blank out हो गया या फिर कुछ कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा है or something is unusual or this I have not studied before. Same experience?
Same experience.
Okay.
One little minor change in mine. Data sufficiency verbal, it was introduced towards the very end. So मान लो मेरा अगले हफ्ते एग्जाम है और आज पता लग रहा है DS verbal is also coming in the exam. That was new for me. I had one DS verbal question. Do not remember what I did with it. But apart from that, everything, I got a 100% percentile in quants.
Yeah.
I was done with quants in 25 minutes. So I had 20 minutes to go through all the questions again. And one question that I had skipped marked for review. So I went back to that one question and I still had 15 minutes. तो 15 मिनट बैठ के मैंने सारे 21 questions वापस देखे. बिल्कुल एंड में एक छोटी सी मिस्टेक मिल गई, कैलकुलेशन एरर that I fixed, that now I think had I not fixed it, maybe LBS, that 99 percentile, none of it I would have gotten.
Do you think getting a 99 percentile or not getting a 99 percentile could make or break your application?
Completely.
Yeah.
My application would be broken without my GMAT score.
Acha. Did you target a 99 percentile from the start?
Yes.
You were very clear.
I was very clear.
But somebody who has sorry to chime in, but somebody who has a probably 7 GPA, जो thought रहता है, एक रहता है कि okay I want this, but कहीं ना कहीं एक self actualization रहती है कि यार can I get this, और my ability इतना ही है शायद. So what was your headspace like?
My headspace was like, see, if I want to go abroad, if I want to go for my MIM, there's 3 colleges I was targeting: NCR, LBS, HEC. Right? For these 3, my profile was not enough. And what would it take for me to get there? A good GMAT score, right? And it was now or never for me. So it's whatever it takes, right? 99 लाना है तो लाना है, by hook or by crook. इसके बिना admission नहीं है. So
ठीक है. Okay. 0 to 2 years of work experience is allowed for MIM.
Correct.
You could have waited for 1 more year and then gone for the MIM.
Right.
I'm not saying people choose to, but somehow people procrastinate so much in their test. Test they want to give probably in 3 months, and then they end up giving it in probably 1.5 years.
Right.
They keep renewing, they keep postponing, they keep joining other WhatsApp groups or Facebook forums and this, that, etc. forums and stuff for advice and stuff. They don't give the test.
Right.
Any advice that you would want to give these people who are still sort of in the process of preparing for the last probably so many months and years?
I think you have to be scared. I was scared. Very scared. I was scared of the job I'll get if I don't get my score. If I spent that 1 year, I knew I'm not going to get the job I want. I'm not going to spend that year being a McKinsey consultant, right, solving big ass business problems. I can't do that. So that 1 year, whatever work I do would most likely be 1 year wasted of my life, right? So I was scared of where I'll be if I don't get the score. And once you have something pushing you from the back like this, and this fear came from inside. My dad put it in me, but then this fear stayed in me in the inside. So
very interesting. Do you think if somebody does not have an MIM or does not have an MBA, getting into a McKinsey or Bain or Big Four is easy? Even if they get in, we tell them promotion is like very hard to get if you don't have an MBA or don't have an MIM or masters in anything. Agreed?
Agreed.
Okay.
I've never been there, but I know that the community is very gated. So there are few undergrad colleges, if I just talk about India, that you can go through to get into an MBB, but sooner or later you'll need a master's.
Did you ever feel stuck during your preparation, in the sense that students reach a plateau? So they're preparing, progressing to a certain point. They might reach a 600s level,
right,
और वहाँ पे stagnation आ जाता है कुछ टाइम के लिए, ठीक है? और एकदम से वो ग्राफ इंक्रीज होता है and you're at a 715.
Correct.
ठीक है? So did you experience something like this? Were you ever stuck in your preparation?
I hit my plateau when I took a couple of mocks. So it was actually right after the course had ended, right? I was so used to knowing what to do next that for about, I think, 10 days there, I was very lost. So I was studying very mindlessly, just taking mocks after
Yeah.
mocks and
Yeah.
getting nowhere. That's actually when I spent one day ignoring studies, part of it at least, and making that error log, that Excel sheet,
Yeah.
which tells me what to do next.
Interesting. Your dad very clearly told you he wouldn't hire you.
Yeah.
Before you took the test and you had an LBS admit,
Yeah.
what was his reaction after you had the score, and what was his reaction after you got the admit?
So his reaction after I got the score, he smiled and asked me, "What's next? What does this mean?" And my response was, "I don't know, because applications are in 1 month. I do not know if I can make it or not." So he was happy. Both my parents were very happy. But we were also very vigilant as to this is not the end of the journey.
Yeah.
After I got into London, my dad really wanted me to go to London.
Yeah.
So I, out of the 3 universities, I only applied to 2 because lack of time, and I got into my top choice. So it was after I got into LBS, my dad, he was in office. I called him and I was like, "Papa, वो गर्म jackets और चाहिए." And he said, "क्या हो गया?" मैंने कहा, "कहीं बाहर जाना है." He's like, "Where?" So I was like, "London जाना है." And I mean, he was on call, but I could tell he was smiling. He was very happy. We went out for dinner. So fun day.
Very nice, very sweet. Okay. This has been very interesting and very valuable for specifically college students. And your journey has been obviously phenomenal. 99 percentile and LBS is wonderful. Again, the error log is amazing. So every student should ideally target or strive to maintain a record like this.
Yes.
You had accuracy trackers also, right?
Correct.
You were extremely focused to get 100% accuracy.
Right.
Timing might be secondary, but your first goal was to get the questions right.
How I like to structure my prep is in 3 phases now that I look back on it. Phase 1 is when you do the basics, right? You cover all the formulas, you make a list of formulas, etc. Phase 2 is untimed practice, right? So once you start practicing, you'll be at a 40, 50, 60% accuracy, right? To go from that to a 90% is one struggle, right? Untimed practice, 90% accuracy, you've hit in all topics. This is your sign that you can move on to timed practice now. The day you move on to time practice, your accuracy falls back down from 90 to 50, 60. This is also where your ego takes a very strong hit on you, in the sense that, am I the stupid? These 3 months that I've spent studying, were they all wasted? I'm back to square one. This is the point where you have to be emotionally strong. At the same time, go through the same process again of increasing your accuracy by hook or by crook, or with the error log. You go from 50, 60% back to 90%. When you have 90% timed manner accuracy is when you're ready for the exam. That's where the accuracy tracker comes in hand. So you make a list of what my accuracy was, on what date, how many questions I did in this topic. You can see an upwards trajectory. You can also see it fall down later when you started time practice. And that gives you a sense, so that actually gives you a reality check as to where I stand and where I'm supposed to go in this journey.
Very interesting. People who just want to do something, probably are focused to get the score, focused to do the prep, get that MBA, just find the most interesting ways to do it, to stick to the plan. Okay, this chocolate protein shake, it works for you.
It does.
But they just figure out ways. Phone drawer में डाल दिया, बंद करके रख दिया, Instagram delete कर दिया, whatever it is. But they just figure something out that can help them probably stick to the plan that they have. Okay,
Right.
Panshul, this has been very interesting. Thank you for your time and
Thank you so much for having me here. It was great meeting you and interacting with the team.
thank you and good luck for MIM.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.